This video is long overdue, and it's about the legend of River Phoenix, whom I personally believe was killed and did not go out the way that the media covered. We know how much the media lies, we know how they like to get rid of people, we know how people can be sacrificed for the benefit of others, and we know a lot about what Hollywood and people will do now, especially to the people that can actually make a positive difference. And here it says on his, just on the internet, when you look up combined drug intoxication, which is what everyone says, that he died of 7 to 8 times the lethal dose of a speedball that he either drank or he snorted or he injected or whatever. All the stories vary, but I propose that he was an absolute legend and this would have never happened. He would have never been so foolish to let a thing like that happen. He was playing guitar, a creative beast, singing and playing guitar at that age. What is that, 5? By this time he was probably amazing. I guess he had notebooks and tons of songs. I wonder where those are now. I hope someone good has them, like his sisters or someone. But he was absolutely amazing. To be able to sing and play guitar at this time and perform, and I'm sure he was probably great. His voice was always amazing. It's just a phenomenon, and he was part of this group. His parents were part of this group, Children of God, which apparently has ties to these people. And remember, he died in the year 1993 as Clinton's first year in office. So, and him and his brother Joaquin was very, he was the one who called the ambulance 911, and that phone call is intense. You can look that up, and that just seems like such an intense moment. And I propose and really have always believed that someone did this as an act of sacrifice of some sort on Halloween at the Viper Room. And we know a lot about Hollywood showbiz kids. Alex Winter just did a new documentary, and we've always known a lot of sick things that go on, and it's really exposing Hollywood as it's crumbling, and it should crumble for the things that it's done to these people. And I don't know about all of them, but some of them, either way, and what they've done to him. This guy, River Phoenix, he absolutely was a vegan, just genius. He knew a lot. He was trained from a very young age, taught at a very young age a lot of things about the nature of reality.
I mean, I know that in every one of your songs you've tried to get a message across. Do you want to tell me a bit about that?
We really don't try to get a message across. It's more of just speaking our minds. And if anyone's out there that are listening and can learn from it, then fine. But it's not gospel according to any one of us, really.
Well, don't you have, strong environmental issues that you believe in?
We do have strong beliefs, and we do press these issues, but all in character, through the music. It's not like, first person coming out and saying, hey, listen here, do this, do that. It's just more like, we integrate our beliefs through the music.
Now, I mean, you're like gigging around America at the moment in your truck. Isn't music touring especially supposed to be like sex, drugs, and rock and roll?
Well, not with us. It's not.
See, I really do believe him. That I believe maybe for My Private Idaho he tried drugs as a test, but he would not have allowed this to happen. Therefore, at this point, he knew what was going on, and he was supposedly very sober for months before the filming of Dark Blood, which I'll get to in a little bit, which was his final movie. And this is all how the new media covered at the time: cocaine and morphine. The Viper Room, Johnny Depp's band was performing, and we all know now, this is what inspired me to put this out now at this point in time, is the demise of Johnny Depp is happening before everyone's eyes, and just embarrassing, disturbing court case, and he deserves the karmic repercussions for, I believe, what he had a part in. And Flea in the background there too, playing bass. Flea and Johnny Depp's band were supposed to be playing, and River Phoenix was going to come on stage with them and play, and so he had remained sober specifically for the show. And from experience, I know, and I'm sure he knew as well, that when you're playing live, you do not want to be intoxicated to a level that is bad, especially if it is a very important gig. You want to be focused, you want to be on point, and this guy knew that. From a judge of the way he handles his guitar, the way he sings and plays, the amazingly in-depth form and structure of the music of Alika's Attic. And I recommend everybody check his band out because they were incredible. And I think this is part of the reason why he also got had his whatever happened to him, had his had this untimely demise because of sinister means on Halloween again, with all these different connections: the Viper, the Snake, the Evil, and just all different celebrities. He'd seen Leonardo DiCaprio earlier that night. Christian Slater and Leo ended up getting his roles for a long time to come after that. Same with Johnny Depp, things that he would have acted out a million times better. But overall, he was an incredible musician. All his friends say deep, amazing things about how he just like felt that music was his main passion. Acting was a good thing. He loved the experience, but he loved music the most. And you can tell from someone that had a guitar at the age of like 4 and was 5 and was performing by the age of 6. You can tell that this is in his blood. This is something he had in his music. He wanted to put out good causes and good messages, and we've seen the music of the 90s and of the Clinton era, and it was terrible. It's absolutely obnoxious, depressing, like filth, the majority of it. I'm so sick of it. It's still on the radio all the time, just oppressively. And all of it was just really bad. I never really liked the music they forced on us in the 90s. The 80s music was great, and times before that were great. They were a little more pure, and still probably a little corrupt, but still a little more pure and varied, and that just became different. That Flea and him used to jam all the time, so I'd like to believe that Flea wouldn't have a part in this sinisterness, but you never know with these people, because Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out in 1991, and so I never trust Anthony Kiedis and the Chili Peppers and Pearl Jam and any of those bands. I think they're dark and dirty, and they're the kind of people that I think would do anything for fame, so I wouldn't put anything past any of those corrupt people. But this was the last movie he was making during the time, and supposedly there was some, he was going back to film, and after this gig, and they had still had scenes to film, so they ended up re-releasing it in 2012, or just releasing it for the first time in 2012, because the director added in some scenes. And with the content of this movie, I think it's also another reason why they did not want this movie to come out, and they didn't want him to finish it until 2012 when it wouldn't really matter.
America's full of loudmouths always shouting and trying to get themselves heard. This country's just too big.
Oh wow, this is incredible.
Isn't it? It's nice to wake up and have people here. Shooters. Indians from the Pueblo come up, get drunk, and blast around. It was all theirs once. Warriors of the Painted Desert. It's beautiful. The Chicago Bank owns it now.
The bank owns it now. God knows what those monuments were in the desert, and the history and archaeological treasures that still probably exist there and were taken from there. But either way, this next scene was one that he was going to film. So the director continues where River was going to speak and where he was scripted, and this is a very important part that they didn't want to get out.
Boy asks Harry, "Do you believe in evil? Because there is evil. And it is as real as you or me. It gets in people's brains, you know. Takes them over and they don't even know it. Politicians, military, big business. You think I'm crazy? Let me tell you, I've been close enough to evil to kiss it on the lips. They fucked the desert, they fucked the Indians, they fucked the entire world, right to the top of the atmosphere and the bottom of the deepest sea. So you can dance and party your way down in LA. You can play Sodom and Gomorrah with your fags and your crack and your Bentleys. But I tell you, you're a fool if you...
River was a 90s warrior of truth at the young age of 23 and well before that, and he knew a lot, and he was spreading the message that is good, far different from the liberals now, but a message that was good for humanity to receive.
Fitted carbon dust filters block both chemical gas and radiation. Complete air change every 6 hours. Heating system in 2 chambers. Water ionizer and powdered proteins enough to last, 3 years? Vitamins? You name it, I got it. Backup electrics, a generator, of course. Bean sprouts for those easy digestible proteins. What else could you ask for except maybe some sunlight?
He was a prepper in what seems like a doomsday bunker that is almost ancient of some sort, which I'm sure that Grand Canyon area was riddled with. And his songs all have amazing messages. One, I'm kind of convinced, is actually relating to Tartaria. I don't even know, but I think he knew a lot of stuff, a lot of truths. He was led into so much. He learned so much on his own. He was a creative beast. He was an amazing actor. He was able to take on any role, absolutely do better than any other actor, and he was untrained in those, like, as compared to like the way a lot of people were. He just got into it because he's just a natural talent, had a natural gift for absolutely everything. He was a great looking guy with a great message. Like I said before, he was a vegan, and I think he tested drugs in My Private Idaho, but I do not think that I really disbelieve a lot of the people that say he was addicted and he was a junkie and all that stuff. I don't think it's possible to write such intense music and all those journals and be so neat and be the top of a brother, like the top brother of a large family that really needs you. And he knew that, and he had dreams of being a musician, and he liked acting and everything. Like he thought his music was going to be very important and be very successful. And I wouldn't put it. It was going to be. It would have been better than all music. And this is interesting too, with Joaquin Phoenix's discography or whatever, his IMDb. There's a gap between 1991 and 95, and before 91, he hadn't really been getting too many roles, it seems. So after that, he has a movie every year, or several movies in some years, and he was just a hit. You know, he got everything he wanted. The dream came true for him pretty much after this. And I hate to say it, but you never really know. I hate to hint at a certain type of thing, but I don't think that was really the case. You know, I wouldn't even be surprised if and this is all theory again, but even if River just maybe knew what he had to do. Or there's also talk that his dad came to visit him, which was very rare, like several weeks when he was in LA, which he hated. Bad land, I think he called it. And that his dad came back and tried to convince him just to go back to to where they lived in South America, I believe, and just be on the farm and play music and just exist like a peaceful, calm life away from all this nonsense and this trash. And maybe his dad, you know, if they did have connections to the Clintons, maybe he didn't know that River was going to be a target or something, or that River, like, they didn't want River to continue preaching his message because he was taking on every industry, the war industry, truth, the meat industry, the medical industry, vaccinations, you'll see in a bit. He was against pills, he was against, he was unvaccinated. He was a very pure soul, and he had a lot. I mean, he preached about breast milk on this Donahue, which I'll show you in a bit as well. And he was just a very smart guy. He knew what was right. He was spreading his message to so many people that they were terrified. And this is before the social media where you could spread all these things and it has less meaning. This guy had true impact on people with all the interviews, magazines he would do, and he was still always very humble. Never had an extreme ego like these other people. He just did his own thing. He was a creative, just like I keep saying, a creative warrior. Someone that created all this music. I'd love to hear all his music come back. I believe Rain actually has put out some albums of his music and music they wrote together, and it's actually checked it out and it's awesome. Alakazattic, the music is awesome, so much better, so much more positive, so much more genuine, so much more musically gifted than all the music of that era. Absolutely, by far. He would have revolutionized music from time immemorial, and he had the chance for the voice, and they knew it, and they couldn't control him, and so here's just him on Donahue.
The species that we haven't even discovered yet in the rainforest that have been mutilated and are forever lost, and plant lives and medicines and all sorts of amazing properties that take millions of years to develop, and in a single day we just cut it down, you know, 2 football fields every 2 seconds or something, and it's so we can have cheaper hamburgers. And I think that
the vaccination, how long does it last, and what might it be its effect? Yeah, you're putting something into your baby's bloodstream. Everybody ought to think about that twice.
We get this official stamp, and someone's designated to give us this information, which isn't really known about or researched, you know, and we find out the hard way, you know. No one knew that, you know, the pill in its original state, you know, for women, birth control, and we get into this is a big one, but was so detrimental to health and the hormonal imbalance and all of the above. Let's bring out General. The idea is just to automatically trust and take someone else's word as the truth, and go ahead and do it without even researching yourself. Right. I think she's posing the idea that maybe you should research it and take your baby as an individual and not just as another one coming through on the production line and here, give it pills, give it this, shoot it up. Lisa,
You.
we're bombarded from age, whenever you start school, with this sort of propaganda that if you don't eat your milk and your eggs and your chicken and your fish and your meat, then, well, you'll just die and you won't grow up to be big and strong like your grandfather. And that's just not true.
It's completely our...
I would like to redefine for everyone here, if possible, what is an environmentalist. I think that we all have a natural birthright to be so. It shouldn't be a label. In fact, you know, if the government has any qualms about it, they should put it in perspective with maybe the defense budget, whereas this is defense that we're talking about, defense for our life support system. And let's divert some of these funds and put them into a direction that might save all of mankind.
Using the funds towards a direction that may save all mankind. Incredible. He had the Save Earth mentality absolutely down, and he was really living it wholeheartedly and spiritually, just on a path towards just making the world better in his own beautiful way. And that's why no one in his position, he personally, I don't believe, would ever ingest something that either he knew anything was in it or whatnot, but he would never intentionally take something that was 8 times stronger, or just even, I bet if he was just drunk, why in public with his family, with his entourage of people, like his relatives and young Joaquin, why would he even consider doing this? Someone must have forced it upon him, or injected it in him, or spiked his drink, or done something that got him to overdose. And it was probably, God knows what they put in it, or how they did it, or who did it. But those people that were there that night aren't talking. No one's talking. I'm sure they are in their private circles. They probably talk about it. But you know, he was dating a Goonie, Martha Plimpton, at one point. You gotta respect the Goonie family. But he was just an all-around great guy. He knew the secrets of Hollywood. I think that's what they feared as well. He knew the secrets of politics, and they feared that. He knew how to manipulate the media in a way that, like, you know, the media couldn't resist covering him. And every time he got the chance to speak, he spoke about exactly what he needed to speak of, exactly what he wanted to speak of, in a message that rings clear now. And it's not this liberal, green, AOC deal message. It's really based on facts. He was a smart guy that was not just like, I don't even think he really was for the global warming thing. I think he almost saw through that earlier. But he saw the devastation of the rainforest and the pollution of women's bodies with birth control and various other methods I'm sure he knew about, and the pollution of all our bodies through these sinister systems and these people that a lot of people just take for granted that they trust a lot of people that they shouldn't trust, and he knew not to trust them. He was spreading the message of telling other people not to trust the authorities and the people that don't have anyone's best interest in mind, and they definitely didn't, and they don't. They never will, it seems, until we can really change things, and I bet we can. We all have to pick up where River left off and be warriors, and a lot of us are, and it's great. And you know, I think they should reopen his case and really investigate it, because like all of those like suicide, drug overdose deaths, they just kind of rule it out and then they never look into it deeper. If I was his family, I would have looked hard into this, and I would not have rested until justice was served here, because there's clearly something shady going on. A lot of different motives all around to end him by some sinister people of all different forces, and you know, you can't deny that. I believe he was way too smart to do what they claim he did. So here are his movies, his creative acts. I definitely recommend checking out every single one. He was an actor ahead of his time, better than anyone. You could actually believe his characters. He was funny, he was sad, he was emotional, he was energetic, he was athletic, he was goofy, he was just incredible. Unbelievable actor, one of the best ever, and his music is unbelievable too. So detailed, so precise, so creative, so unique. It would have changed the 90s music and music forever, I guarantee it. The music industry would have been altered in a beautiful way had his music become part of the popular mainstream. It's absolutely no doubt, and it would have, because he had the look, he had the ability, by far, he was so talented, and he had the name and everything. He was destined for absolute greatness. We must remember him for all he did, and just completely eradicate the story they tell, the fairy tale they tell about his end. That is something he would have never done He was way smarter than that, and way smarter than these other people that do things like that. He was definitely targeted, and he must be known for his beauty and remembered and honored for his contributions to the world and the universe. His music is amazing, his videos are amazing, his interviews are incredible. I recommend everybody check them out. We have to take up his role and all really see this fight, and especially nowadays we do. As Hollywood just absolutely crumbles and unravels, the evil is just getting sucked out of it. Hopefully they're all gonna pay for the crimes and karmic actions that they've been committing for way too long in an industry that's just had way too much propagandic mind control over the masses. It's sick, and it has to end with our generation. We need to support creative people in every possible way. You know, they say that artists and creatives aren't essential, and we are. There's a lot of people that are essential that make this world the beautiful place that it is, and we all have to honor that. We are got to get back to the normal. We have to bring everything back and hold every business accountable and just really save this world for all mankind. I know we can do it. River knew it too. Bless you all. Bless you, River.